Hey guys, it's Miharu and welcome back to SpyroCast. This is episode 39, and today I have with me someone who really likes trains. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Prince Trainlover, or better known as Trainlover16 on YouTube, and as my name suggests, I am as much of a train enthusiast as I am a Spyro enthusiast.
Alright, so I guess we'll start out with your history with Spyro.
Alright, so my history with Spyro doesn't go anywhere near as far back as most people in the fandom. So it only goes as far back as 2020. That was when I had my Nintendo Switch Online account, and with that account, you can get all of the old NES and SNES games emulated for free. So I had that account and I played a lot of the NES and SNES games then. And that was when I decided that I really want to get into more retro games. So that Christmas, I asked for a Nintendo 64. And I played games like Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, and GoldenEye on there. And then I wanted to broaden my range of retro consoles that I played. So for my 17th birthday, I decided I wanted to get a PS1, and with it, the original very first Spyro game. I had heard of Spyro before then, around 2018, when the hype for the Reignited trilogy was skyrocketing. And I knew then that it was started out as a PS1 game, so I thought, okay, I'll give this game a try as my first PS1 game. And I really enjoyed the first game, so I decided to use my birthday money to get 2 and 3. But then I found that the more I played the Insomniac Spyro trilogy, the more I enjoyed it. And then I eventually replayed all 3 games for my retro gameplay series. And by the start of 2022, Spyro the Dragon had become my favorite video game franchise of all time.
Yes!
And I think it's a huge testament to how powerful of a franchise Spyro is. But when it becomes my favorite video game franchise of all time, in just 6 months, when things I love just as much, trains and Thomas the Tank Engine, took 15 years to get to that point.
Wow. God.
Oh, it's an awesome. I just loved playing the Spyro games, and now I love it as much as I love trains. And it's helped me out a lot mentally as well, because you see, I had a really, really tough time in secondary school. For all of the non-British people listening to this, that's basically the equivalent of high school. And I had a really, really awful time there, and I just wanted to get out of school as soon as possible. But then when I was in my final year of secondary school, right when I was about to finally be free of all that mental torment, the pandemic happened, and my mental health went even further down the toilet.
Oh no.
But Spyro the Dragon has really helped me rebuild my mental health after it was damaged by my awful time in secondary school.
Wow. That's crazy. I'm so glad that Spyro has been able to help you in that way.
Oh, yes, it has. My history doesn't end there, though. So for Christmas 2022, I got a GameCube, and then for my following birthday, I got a Game Boy Advance, so I could play all of the other Spyro games. So on my GameCube, I played A Hero's Tale, which I really loved. I've also played A New Beginning, and that was fun, but not the kind of gameplay I enjoy most from Spyro. I enjoy collectathon platformer games a lot more than beat-em-ups. I've played a little bit of The Eternal Night, but it was just way too hard, and I wasn't the biggest fan of The Eternal Night. And I'm yet to play Dawn of the Dragon. And I've also got all 4 of the Game Boy Advance games and Shadow Legacy. I'm yet to play Shadow Legacy and Attack of the Rhinox, but I've played the other 3 GBA games. So yeah, I've basically got the entire collection.
Wow.
But I'm still yet to play some of the games. I just haven't really gotten around to it. But I also wanted to talk about how my love of trains intertwines with my love of Spyro. So I have a Spyro plush and a Cinder plush, and I take them around with me on my trips and holidays and things, which I post to my my second channel, my travel channel, and I mainly take them to heritage railways and things. Most recently, I took them to the Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway, which is a 15-inch gauge miniature railway that runs along the Kent coast for 13.5 miles. And it has these miniature express steam trains that like recreate the golden age of British express steam, but in miniature scale. And the trains only travel about 25 miles an hour. But when you're on the trains, because they're 3 times smaller than normal trains, it feels 3 times faster, so it feels more like 75 miles an hour. Every time I go on that railway, it's a very thrilling experience, and I like to think that Spyro and Cinder find it just as thrilling as well, and I like to think that they really like express steam locomotives.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, so I thought you'd find it. I thought you'd find it cute. And I also like to think that Spyro and Cinder really like Thomas the Tank Engine as well, and a few other train shows that I often watch. And I've also realized that Spyro and Thomas the Tank Engine are actually pretty similar to each other personality-wise. They're both pretty impulsive and cheeky and energetic, and they want to see the world, and they both grow up and mature over time. So Thomas and Spyro, I feel, are very similar personality-wise. But another thing I've realized is that Cinder's backstory, Cinder's backstory in the whole Legend of Spyro trilogy, her backstory, I've realized, is pretty similar to that of Henry the Green Engine, the number 3 engine on the Northwestern Railway. Similar to how Cinder's egg was stolen by Malfor's army, Henry's blueprints were actually stolen by a rival builder of Sir Nigel Gresley, who was a famous locomotive designer for the London and North Eastern Railway. The spy was meant to steal drawings of Gresley's A1 Pacific, but he actually stole drawings of a flawed design that Gresley had thrown out. So Henry's blueprints were stolen and taken to this rival builder, and the engine was built, and it turned out to be Henry the Green Engine. Now, Cinder and Henry had pretty miserable early lives. Cinder through being corrupted and tortured and brainwashed into being Malfor's slave and being completely oblivious to everything she's doing, and has no way of controlling it until Spyro uncorrupted her. And Henry through being a very unreliable steamer. He had a lot of steaming problems and was an unreliable engine due to having too small of a firebox, which meant he couldn't build up enough steam to work his pistons and therefore his wheels. So he often struggled with pulling trains and was deemed as a poor performance and overall a big failure. But then, both Cinder and Henry were given second chances at life. Cinder through being uncorrupted by Spyro, Spyro seeing the good in her, and eventually Cinder joining Spyro's side to bring down Malfor in Dawn of the Dragon, and Henry through being given Welsh coal, which burns a lot better and produces more heat than normal coal, meaning he could finally meaning he could finally get the sufficient steam pressure he needed to run properly. But then he had a pretty nasty crash with an express fish train called the Flying Kipper, and the Fat Controller decided to send him to Crew Works to be rebuilt into a much stronger and more powerful design. So you see, Cinder and Henry both had their means of being born stolen. They both had miserable early lives, but then they were both given second chances at life and are now some of the most strongest-willed and powerful beings around in their respective franchises.
Wow. I didn't know any of that. That's pretty incredible that you can see similarities between Spyro and Thomas, of all things. I never thought about that.
Yes, I did. And I wanted to share with you my findings on how the Thomas and Spyro franchises have similarities, and also how my Spyro and Cinder plushies come with me on my train trips and things. I also take them on my European train trips. I take them on high-speed trains across Europe. Last month we went to Portaventura, a theme park in Spain, by high-speed train, and so I really like theme parks as well. They went with me to Portaventura, and I took some photos and videos, not only of them on the high-speed trains, but also in the park with the roller coasters and things. And this summer, I shall be taking them to Prague on the train, on the sleeper train from Brussels to Prague.
Wow, that's really cool. You sure like to travel.
Yeah, I love to travel. I love to travel all over the world. I haven't been outside of Europe too much, but I really want to go outside of Europe again one day, like to America and Canada, to all of the awesome theme parks in America and Canada. And Spyro and Cinder, they've also got, or my Spyro and Cinder plushies, they've also got a sheep friend called Samson, who I got when I took them to Wales last year. They befriended Samson, and Samson is the only sheep that Spyro and Cinder, being dragons, wouldn't dare eat. So yeah, that is pretty much my history with Spyro, and and how strong of a connection I've gained with Spyro, and how he's affected my life in a very, very positive way, and how he's become intertwined with all of my other hobbies and interests.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. I like how Spyro's been able to become such a big part of your life at this point in such a short time as well.
Yes, in a matter of only 6 months. But even now, it's only been 3 years since I've become a Spyro fan, and now he's a huge part of my life. Yeah. So next question.
My next question is, what are your favorite and least favorite games?
Now, my favorite Spyro game. Oh god, my favorite Spyro game. I literally cannot decide between 2 and 3. They are both at the top for me. Spyro 2 is it feels a lot more rewarding to complete, and it feels like it has a proper story, a proper cinematic story. The worlds are all very beautiful. Their level designs are pretty fun. All the mini games are very fun. And the home worlds of Spyro 2, my god, the home worlds, they are incredible. Autumn Plains especially. And the music of the 3 home worlds too, that's just amazing.
Yeah, it's very ambient. They never really went back to that sort of thing. It was really unique.
Oh yeah, I wish they do for Spyro 4. As for Spyro 3, I like how large of a game it is. I like all the new characters. I get, for some Spyro fans, the Sheila, Sergeant Bird, Bentley, and Agent 9 aren't that fun to control. But for me, I really like their controls and gameplay. I really like all of their levels. Sergeant Bird's especially. Yeah, and I like how there's so many eggs to collect. There's a greater sense of tension and greater sense of stakes in Spyro 3.
Yes.
And Bianca has a very, very nice character arc.
Sure does.
So yeah, both 2 and 3 are just as good as each other for me, but in their own ways. As for my least favorite, that's a lot easier to say. My least favorite would have to be Spyro Orange: The Cortex Conspiracy, or Spyro Fusion, as us Brits know it. That game is just lazy. It's just a lazy game. The hub worlds are boring. The mini games are just copies of other popular arcade games. There's literally one. There's one mini game that's literally just Breakout. Nothing more than that. And the cards do nothing. And also, it's just completely wasted potential with a Spyro crossover game with Crash Bandicoot. The potential was just completely wasted, and when I play that game and all of the boring mini games, that don't have much thrill to them whatsoever. I really do get the feeling that Vicarious Visions just didn't care. They just didn't care when they were developing Spyro Orange. It's just lazy.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, I guess a lot of people would say that as well, but mostly people say Enter the Dragonfly or something, so interesting that we get to talk about that.
Yes. I know most people say Enter the Dragonfly is their least favorite, but you know what? All things considered, I think Enter the Dragonfly is okay. It's, considering how under pressure Equinox and Check 6 were, and how Universal demanded that they had the game out by Christmas 2002, and how they weren't a very experienced development team, but took the job because if Enter the Dragonfly was successful, they'd become a huge developer, but that did not work out well at all. So considering that they were under pressure to deliver such a major title and deliver the game in such a short space of time, I really do think that people should give Enter the Dragonfly a break, because all things considered, it's really not that bad. And I know people hate the graphics and all the models, and all the character models, but I don't mind them. I don't really mind the untextured grass. The controls are all right, and something that I feel Spyro Enter the Dragonfly did better than the previous games is making Spyro himself more expressive and more one with the world around him by giving him much more dialogue in-game, not just the cutscenes, but in-game. I like that ouch he does whenever he hits a wall.
Oh, I hate that. I hate it because it gets so annoying. He does it every time, so it gets really annoying.
Yeah, I think it's cute.
It's just so repetitive.
I like the humming he does when he's idle. I like, and as I said earlier, I like how they made him more interactive with all the other characters in game. And I really do hope that is revisited in this new Spyro 4, giving Spyro more dialogue in game and more and interact with the characters around him a lot more. But yeah, aside from that, I'm all right with the slightly worse controls. I'm all right with the character models. Ricto, I completely understand why people don't like him with his stretchy mouth. But Spyro, he looks all right. Hunter, yeah, okay. He doesn't look too good in Enter the Dragonfly, but Spyro's model, Enter the Dragonfly model, it looks pretty good, all things considered. As I said, I don't mind the untextured graphics. I don't mind the bugs and glitches and the poor frame rate. And I actually find some of the glitches hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the fact that it's that they weren't able to make as many levels as the previous games. Yeah, Stuart Copeland's music is still great, and overall, Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is an alright game for me, and I really do feel that people should give it a break. Do I understand why it's hated? Yes. Do I think it's a great Spyro game? No. Do I think the likes of A Hero's Tale and A New Beginning are better? Yes. But honestly, as I said, Enter the Dragonfly, people should just give it a break. And honestly, I do actually hate The Eternal Night more than Enter the Dragonfly.
Yes,
I
there
just
we
found
go.
it too hard. And also its story is also too dark and too depressing for a Spyro game. Spyro stories are meant to be fun and light-hearted.
Yeah. I like Enter the Dragonfly for at least playing like a classic Spyro game. I don't like how it plays, but it still has really good ideas. I like the general concept of it. But it was just weak execution. So that's really my only problem with it.
Yes, but said weak execution wasn't even the developer's fault. That was the fault of Universal more than anything. And as I said, I do really like A Hero's Tale. In fact, I love A Hero's Tale. I think it's my favorite Spyro game that isn't part of the original trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't mind how there's not any homeworlds and portals to get to the other worlds anymore. I don't mind the slightly updated gameplay style. Obviously, the graphics and textures and character models and everything else are way better in A Hero's Tale than they were in Enter the Dragonfly. I like the double jump ability that they gave Spyro, though I wish they'd kept the hover ability.
Yeah.
I actually quite like the shop system that used for spending gems. That shop system makes you hate moneybags less.
Really? Makes me hate him more. Actually, the thing is, I don't even hate moneybags. I don't think I've ever hated moneybags at all. I like him, actually.
He is an extortionist. And at least in The Hero's Tale, he doesn't try to extort gems. Okay, maybe he does through charging high prices, but at least he doesn't show up without warning and make Spyro pay him to get past, like become a bloody toll booth. I prefer Moneybags to act like an actual shopkeeper than a toll booth. But you know what? I'll be completely okay with Moneybags coming back as just a toll booth in Spyro 4, as long as we can kick his ass at the end of the game, like in Spyro 2 and 3, where he got his ass kicked.
Yeah, especially in 3, where you get to do it yourself.
Yes! Oh my god, I love doing that. The gems just all raining back to Spyro. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts.
Yeah, but overall, and I do like Red as a villain in A Hero's Tale. Yeah, it had a pretty nice story as well. I'm not really a fan of how they try to retcon the canons of the previous games, and I'm also not really a fan of how Spyro was captured midway through the game. That did make me shocked and sad for my little purple boy.
I'm just surprised Bianca wasn't in it.
Oh, yeah. I think, she should have been in it, especially as she was in Shadow Legacy. Overall, there are a few things I don't really like about A Hero's Tale, but I still love the game. I still think it's I still think it's a really fun game. And you know what? Blink the Mole's levels are also alright. I know a lot of people hate Blink and his levels, but personally, for me, Blink's levels are alright. I get why people hate them, but they're alright for me.
I've never played those levels. I didn't really play a lot of Hero's Tale.
So yeah, can you tell I've got some pretty controversial and unpopular Spyro opinions that I've formed during my 3 years of being a Spyro fan?
The only one that I could see as kind of a hot take is the Enter the Dragonfly thing, but I think people tend to like A Hero's Tale, and most people probably also don't like Spyro Orange, so I think...
Okay, good. It's also worth noting that thanks to how big of a Spyro fan I've become, every November I now do a Spyrovember, a weekly video series where I do some sort of Spyro related video. I try to get one out every week of November. And it's supposed to be in the same vein of Cad Icarus's Bandicoot month that he does every June or July now, as his videos keep being delayed. Hopefully he'll get the one he's planning for this year out in June this time. But yeah, my Spyrovember is supposed to be a counterpart to his Bandicoot month. And I chose November because, one, that's when the Reignited trilogy came out, similar to how Caddy partly chose June to do Bandicoot month because that's when the Insane trilogy came out. And also, and the other bigger reason I chose November to do Spyrovember is because for me, November is my least favorite month of the year. It's cold, it's miserable, it rains a lot, there's leaves fall down, and that combines with the rain to create sticky and slippery surfaces, and it's just awful. And as if that wasn't bad enough, there are also several events throughout November that I can't stand, such as Bonfire Night, where we have fireworks. I absolutely hate fireworks. I can't stand them. So yeah, I chose November to do Spyrovember, so I have at least one thing, at least something to look forward to in my least favorite month of the year. Oh, and I also hate November because that's when all the heritage railways and theme parks close down for the winter, which is always pretty depressing. So yeah, Spyrovember has given me something to look forward to in November, and it also links back to how Spyro has helped me out a lot mentally as well. And I think for one of the videos of my next Spyrovember, I'm going to do a top 10 unpopular Spyro opinions video that's sure to generate a lot of controversy, because me preferring Enter the Dragonfly over the Eternal Night, that is going to be my number one unpopular opinion. But I do have a lot of others. So, for example, I don't like Dark Spyro. Not that I don't like him as a character, but I don't like the idea of an evil Spyro. I personally feel that the good dragon turned evil, turned back to good concept should be reserved for Cinder. I really don't like the idea of my adorable purple boy being evil, and because of that, I don't really like season 3 of Skylanders Academy. I'm not really a Skylanders fan that much. I personally consider Skylanders a completely separate franchise from Spyro that just happens to have Spyro as a character in it. But I do like the first 2 seasons of Skylanders Academy, and I do like how they also included Cinder in it, and Malfour. Big thumbs up for that for me. But yeah, aside from that, not really a Skylanders fan. Just stick purely with Spyro.
Well, I was gonna say it's cool that you have your own little Spyro month. My Spyro month is April.
Oh right. Why have you picked April?
I picked April because that's when Reignited was announced, and also it's my birth month. So.
Yeah, that's yeah. Caddy picked November because that's his birth month as well. But yeah,
I haven't the only thing I really do for, my unofficial Spyro month is stream it, though. Because I wanted to get, a lot of Spyro videos out, but they take time.
Yeah, my ones are just, really quick things. Mainly, I just think them up on the spot. The first one I did for last year's SpyroVember was, have you seen those if villains were charged for their crimes videos? I
Oh yeah.
discovered those around March of last year, and I was really interested in them, so I thought I'd do an if Spyro villains were charged for their crimes video. I had a lot
Oh.
of fun making that. And Ripto, you got like 96 and a half years for his crimes. Nasty Naught got 52 years. The Sorceress got 28 years plus a death sentence for her attempted dragon genocide. And Red, he got 70 years. I didn't include Malfoy because his list of crimes is way too long. I may do a part 2 to that video eventually, but not anytime soon. And yeah, I've done several others for my SpyroVember. I've done one where I got all the skill points in Spyro 2. I did one where I read through the Legend of Spyro script that was leaked back in 2022, around the time of my birthday as well. So having the Legend of Spyro film script leak was a nice bonus birthday present. And I also did a YouTube poop of the Enter the Dragonfly cutscenes. And the most recent one I did, for the last video of SpyroVember 2023, I did one where Spyro and Cinder narrated some Thomas episodes. I felt that would be a pretty cute thing to do.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I feel like some of my best Spyro-related videos actually do go out in November. In 2022, I had my Enter the Dragonfly retrospective thing.
But yeah, I watched that.
And then last year I had my complete Spyro analysis and comparison. So yeah, okay. So how do you feel about the recent news of Spyro 4 supposedly being in development?
I believe it 100%. Canadian Guy A has been right about the vast majority of things. He was right about his Reignited speculation. He was right about his Crash 4 speculation. He was right about his Wumpa League / Crash Team Rumble speculation. So I trust him, and I also trust his recent inside scoop that Spyro 4 is in development. However, I do not think I am prepared to wait another 2 years for Spyro 4 to come out. I'm prepared to wait until 2025 at the latest, so next year, because no Spyro game before has taken more than 2 years to develop. Yet somehow some people think that it's going to take much longer than 2 years. When I think Toys for Bob could easily get Spyro 4 out in 2025 because they were able to get Reignited done in 14 months, and that was 3 games in one. Spyro 4 is just a singular game. And if they started development in December 2023, a mid to late 2025 release, I do not think is that big of an ask. Of course, I'm willing to let them cook and let them do what they want with the game and make it as big as they like. But equally, I would like it out in a timely manner as well. And because no Spyro game before has taken more than 2 years to develop, again, I don't think it's that big of an ask to have the game out by 2025. Or the end of this year, if we're lucky. If we're lucky at the next, at the upcoming Xbox showcase, we could have Toys for Bob show off a very early build of Spyro 4, just to say, yes, we are developing the game. Sorry, it's taken way too long to come out, but have this little video of a early preview build of the game, and just so that you all know that it's on its way.
Yeah, I think an announcement or, some kind of teaser would be good for this year at least.
Yes, at the very least, I would like to see an announcement / teaser / early build footage showcase to be done at the Game Awards in December. But ideally, I would like an early build of the game shown off at either Summer Game Fest or the Xbox showcase.
Yeah. I think, well, I mean, it is the Year of the Dragon, so, like, I still hope for something.
Yes! No better year to announce Spyro 4 or release it at the end of the year if we're lucky, because for all we know, it could just take only 10 months to develop because it's been done in the past. Spyro 2 and 3, Insomniac took only 10 months to develop those games. The only reason they came out as good as they did is because Insomniac are way more experienced developers than Equinox and Check 6 were. And I think that Toys for Bob are just as talented as Insomniac, if not more talented. So they could still potentially get the game completed within a year, just like Insomniac used to do. But even so, Spyro is not some pretentious AAA title that takes multiple years to develop, like Grand Theft Auto, Metal Gear Solid, and Skyrim. It's nothing. It's nothing on the scale of those franchises. So again, I don't understand why some Spyro fans think it's going to take more than 2 years to develop. Absolute latest I can see Spyro 4 coming out is between January and April 2026, though once again I would prefer to see it out in 2025, if not the end of this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good time frame. I would say the same.
Oh, great.
And my last question is, what are some of the most important things you think a new game should have?
Right, so number one most important thing I think a new game should have is I do not want Spyro 4 to have any sort of the gameplay that the Legend series had. It needs to stick to its roots as a collectathon platformer. I wouldn't mind some of the Legend characters appearing in it, though. For example, I really want to see Cinder as a playable character in Spyro 4. And I wouldn't mind Ignitus and the other elemental dragons having a role in the game. I wouldn't mind Malfoy coming back either. However, he's too dark of a villain in the Legend series to fit an OG Spyro tone game. So if Malfoy were to come back in Spyro 4, I personally prefer him to be like a James Bond type villain, like an arch villain who's planning to just take over the world or get a ransom of $1 million. Austin Powers. Yes, if he was like, if Malfoy acted like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers in Spyro 4, I'd be all over that.
That would be pretty funny.
So yeah, if Malfoy were to come back in Spyro 4, I'd want him to be a borderline comical James Bond type villain. I'd also like to see a few of the past characters come back. As I said, I really like Sergeant Bird, so I'd like him to come back as well. And I'd like Sheila to be playable as well. And because Alora got to be playable in Crash Team Rumble, I guess we can have her in there as well. And I guess we could push the limits a little bit and have Hunter as a playable character as well. So yeah, 5 playable characters: Sheila, Sergeant Bird, Cinder, Alora, and Hunter. And Spyro as well, of course. We can't have a Spyro game without Spyro himself.
Yeah, well, that's actually the thing. For me, I kind of want the gameplay to go back to Spyro 1 style, where it's mostly focused on exploration with mostly Spyro himself, like maybe 1 or 2 other playable characters in certain parts, but I kind of want the focus to go back to Spyro for the next game.
Yeah, Yeah, I get that. And Spyro 2 and 3 did have a lot of exploration in them as well. So I guess we can have a mix of both. But I find the mini games in 2 and 3 very, very fun. They're actually partly what put 2 and 3 above Spyro 1 for me. They add a bit more variety to the gameplay.
Hmm.
As for the story of Spyro 4, I had this idea for it to be an action adventure type story, almost like a spy story.
Hmm.
I know that sounds a bit ridiculous on paper, but with the writer, I think a James Bond type story in a fantasy setting could really work with Spyro temporarily being hired as a secret agent. I know to some of the listeners that may sound a bit like it could fall into the same traps as Cars 2 did. I still think it could work though, and I've even come up with my own name for Spyro 4. Do you know what I think it should be called?
What?
Fly Hard.
Ha! Fly hard.
Yes. Yes, I think that would be perfect. Not necessarily for Spyro 4, but for a potential future Spyro game. A Spyro game called a Fly Hard. I'd love to see that.
That's very interesting. You know, going back to the Malifor thing, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like a more comedic take for Malifor because they probably liked him as like a very, you know, intimidating, like very evil dragon. So if you were to take that away, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like that. So it's a very interesting take on Malifor as well.
Yeah, I understand, but the thing is, that evil, borderline psychopathic version of Malfoy worked because it was in Legend of Spyro, the darker reimagining of Spyro.
Right.
A character that evil and that psychopathic wouldn't really work for classic Spyro. I know the Sorceress was pretty psychopathic and to a lesser extent Ripto, but at least they had a comedic side to them, something which Malfoy lacked. So Malfoy being a big bad James Bond arch villain type, I feel would be the best way to include him in Spyro 4.
Okay. Well, I suppose I can see where you're coming from on that.
Yes. What else would I like to see in Spyro 4? So an action adventure spy type story with maybe some Indiana Jones influence as well. Cinder coming back, maybe some of the legend characters coming back, sticking firmly to the core OG Spyro gameplay of hub worlds, exploration levels, collecting items, and mini games. And as for the mini games themselves, I really like the idea of one where Spyro needs to be put into a large bubble because, I don't know, some sort of reason, like the air is too toxic or something, I don't know. But yeah, I like the idea of something like that in Spyro 4. It could make for some extremely fun levels and some extremely fun gameplay mechanics and mini games. You could even make an entire world around that concept. What do you think of that?
I guess I can get behind that. You know, something I really want to see, and I've talked about it a lot, is a day-night cycle.
Oh,
Or just one level, something akin to Fungi Forest from DK64, where it changes between day and night, and there are different things that you could do, like during the day, or, yeah, during the night. Something also like a Click Clock would.
why didn't I think of that before? A day-night cycle. Yeah, that's something I never thought about before. Yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah, it's like, that's something that I've always liked in games. You know, when it came to, Pokemon Gen 2 or Star Fox Adventures. I usually think of Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything I'd like to see in Spyro 4. I'm not sure what other mini games I'd like to see or new mini game styles. I'm more looking forward to seeing where they can take Spyro story-wise.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yes, it will. And as I said, I still firmly believe that Spyro 4 is on its way, but I do feel that people who've been waiting a long time for it do need to have a little bit more faith.
Yeah, that too. Well, I do believe that it's on its way as well. But I'm still just waiting for an official announcement.
So am I. Right, so should we wrap up there?
Yep, I guess that's where we're gonna end it.
But before we end, I want to give one of my subscribers a shout out. I'd like to say thank you to BertieBus84 for letting me know about this opportunity in one of my live streams I did a couple weeks ago, letting me know I could ask Miharu to be on SpyroCast. It's been such an honor talking to her, such an honor sharing my feelings about Spyro the Dragon and its past, present, and future. And I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys, what you guys think of everything I've said in this podcast. Yeah, it's been very fun to be on this podcast. It's been an honor talking to quite a big name in the Spyro community. Yeah, it's been pretty fun. So thank you, BertieBus84, for letting me know about this opportunity.
Yes, and if you want to be on SpyroCast, you listening right there, I will leave a link to the form, the Google form, in the description, and just fill it out, and we'll schedule a time.
Good luck on getting on to SpyroCast, the rest of you.
Okay, well, that is where we're going to end it. Thank you so much for being on this episode. That was a great conversation.
Yes, I really, really enjoyed it too.
Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more casual gaming content, and I will see you next time. Until then, this is Miharu, signing off.